Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another dispatch. So I put on a clean shirt. I was painting on that guy earlier today. A little bit later in the day than it usually is when I do a dispatch. Anyway, another interior. Moving the energy. So I said last week that I wasn't going to be reading from my book anymore. It's true. Well, at least not for a while. And I thought I would read about Lennart Anderson. Leonard Anderson taught at Brooklyn College. He was a great painter, representational painter. He was born in 1928 and he passed away in 2015. I had good fortune to meet him briefly at the Albert York retrospective that was at Matthew Mark's gallery, which I guess was before 2015. I don't remember exactly, but it must be, right? So, okay, there we go. Anyway, I thought I'd start in. This is a very nice book that I don't know where you get it. Where do you get this? I don't know. The New York Studios School put it out. I guess published it. How did that work? So I guess you contact the New York Studios School. Well, yeah, I guess. Or they might have it. There's an ISBN number. Okay, so I'm going to read from an essay by Martica Sawin. Sawin, Lennart Anderson, a painter for all time. You take on a lot when you take on painting, Lennart Anderson said one morning. Are we recording? And my voice is good. Okay. You take on a lot when you take on painting, Lennart Anderson said one morning in his main studio toward the end of what turned out to be his final summer. I made a bargain with the devil. Was it the devil who launched him on his lifelong drive for perfection? Or simply the daunting incentives provided by the masters? The challenge of flawlessly replicating a piece of fruit, or capturing the ripple of alarm in a sidewalk crowd's response to disaster? Or did he aspire to portray that age-old artist's theme, a glimpse of a phantom Arcadia? Whatever the mixture of motives, it was apparent that Anderson remained apart from pressure to join the ranks of either artistic radicals or traditional conservatives. His students and viewers of his work will recognize that, for him, the word painting held multiple meanings, referring to action, object, and medium, and that it conveys the essential impulse behind a stern, ambitious, exacting approach to putting brush to canvas. Painting itself, and all that the word implies of commitment and dedication, became the focus of his lifelong pursuit. By 1953, when he moved from his native Detroit to New York, Anderson held degrees from Cranbrook Academy and the Chicago Art Institute, both institutions with high standards and ties to academic traditions, as well as being receptive to modernism. Starting in childhood, he had frequent exposure to paintings in the notable collections of the Detroit Institute of Art. Living on 10th Street in New York's East Village, he was at the heart of a new bohemia that was becoming known for the cooperative galleries opened by young artists. Empty storefronts and threadbare lofts became seedbeds for a multitude of innovations as artists tried to weave the novel strands of current art into a personal direction. Anderson's own preferences ran toward Degas and Edwin Dickinson. He studied briefly with the latter at the Art Students League. He also admired the drawing of his 10th Street neighbor, Willem de Kooning, but managed to steer his own course through competing influences to arrive at a hybrid mode of representation that was distinctly his own. An early indication of his non-doctrinaire inclinations might be found in the maverick entry he submitted to a scholarship contest for which the assigned subject was Ulysses. Rather than routinely paint a Greek hero in modern dress, Anderson chose an image from a neighborhood street, a legless man, rolling along the sidewalk in a low cart, obviously like Ulysses, a war veteran. Streets and their populated front stoops became a preferred locale for the multi-figure compositions that Anderson undertook in the spirit, he said, of Ong's apotheosis of Homer. Picture there. Where balanced figure groups are held in place by architectural surroundings. The first paintings he exhibited, however, were conceived as responses to sudden shock, a disaster that left a body prone on the pavement or agitated figures gathering around a collision. In Falling Man, one of his earliest exhibited works, a man falls through space on a diagonal axis without apparent cause or destination. The angle parallels that of Tintoretto's Miracle of St. Mark, zooming in to free a bound Christian slave. Anderson's rationale: I wanted to try to get a figure at that angle into a composition, is indicative of the priority he gave to compositional strategies, some closely allied with the Renaissance traditions he admired. The alternation between the observed and the conceptual contributes to the lasting allure of the magnum opus of Anderson's oeuvre, the three large canvases known as idols, referring to this stuff, that occupied him during the last decades before macular degeneration began to diminish his ability to see work in progress on the easel in his Brooklyn studio. As early as the mid-1950s, Anderson, inspired by Ong's Age of Gold, had thought about and rejected the possibility of undertaking a mural-sized composition of figures in a landscape. Nonetheless, he made a study in broad strokes on a small canvas. He painted dancers and strollers under trees on a waterside, taking it to Rome with him during the 3 years he spent there on a prix de Rome. By the late 1970s, convinced that he had to try it, he stretched up 3 large canvases and began incorporating some of the figures from drawings he had made alongside his students during life classes at Brooklyn College. To be free of iconographic responsibilities, he selected idols as IDYLLs, IDYLLS, idols, as the title for all 3. On a verdant hillside, he portrayed dancers, musicians, lovers, and a reclining nude, unified by the dappled light through the leaves. An infant, raised high in the air on an extended arm, unobtrusively turns the whole into a celebration of natural life and secures for this art a place in an age-old tradition. Counterbalancing the complex multi-figure works and confirming the impression of an artist in command of the powers of observation, an intricate rendering required of a master painter, Anderson's still lifes rank with the top examples of this genre throughout history. He picked his challenges carefully, knowing that viewers might be bewildered or even disoriented by the aluminum foil Jiffy Pop dome, keeping company with apples on a tabletop or disturbed by the tragic expression on the face of a lion mask. Singularly disquieting is self-portrait with hammer and nails, an exquisite canvas in shades of ochre and brown with the artist's self-portrait as the target of a menacing array of studio objects. I never thought of it as menacing. I just thought it was weird. You should see the picture. All right. Commenting on the discrepancies in this painting, Anderson said, Humble Pie is painting from direct observation. Pie in the Sky is more conceptual. I don't feel I have to be true to one or the other. His words point toward representational art's duality. They offer the key to artistic thinking based on the understanding that we are capable of more than one mode of seeing and processing simultaneously. Making the most of the visual artist's ability to capture momentum on an inert surface, to lead a viewer through non-existent spaces with a few loosely brushed strokes of color, or find perfection in fragments of the ordinary. Anderson, at times deliberately, leaves a viewer searching for firm ground, uncertain as to intentions, mystified by conflicting signals, not being true to one or the other. Is that a hint at what may be at the kernel of Anderson's art? By attempting stroke by stroke to replicate what his eye sees, the artist may lure the viewer into thinking that a painting represents exactitude. Yet all along that he knows that that can never completely be the case, that it is the elusive element in an artwork that lifts it beyond the matter of fact and delivers it to posterity. Yeah. Where's that Jiffy Pop? Here. Here's the Jiffy Pop. And yeah, pretty great. Oh, this is a beauty. Lettuce. I mean, really. Holy cow. All right. Where's that one of his head in the mirror? It's really sort of wild. So I can find it. It's a good book. La 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 la. Let's see if I can find this thing. Well, there it is. Oh, dark. There's his head in the mirror. Okay, here you go. Lennart Anderson. Hell of a painter. Oh, well, I hope you're all well and making stuff and staying cool best you can. I'm going to go turn my air conditioning back on. Okay, everyone, take good care. Be well.